live show number 2 for Apollo Media from Apollo HQ. This is Play Action Takes. We're back for another season of NFL football takes, podcasts, live shows. We're doing it all on Play Action Takes. I'm your new host, Stone Strenkman. I was your old host, and I'm your new host. I'm doing it again, but this time I'm doing it with Mr. Kush Patel. How are we doing, brother?
What's up, man? How's it going? We ready for football season or what?
Well, we both have Astros hats on right now, so I don't think we're fully there yet, but we're getting close. It's the football senses are tingly right now.
The beginning stages, right? Beginning stages.
Yeah, we had some preseason games over the last weekend. We've had them for about a week, 2 weeks now, and seen some football highlights on the timeline again. It's I don't know if it's soul cleansing. It might be like dirtying my soul again, but I'm ready to be hurt again.
Yeah, I'm ready for heartbreak again. But for me, we're not going to worry about that until January. For you, it might be a little earlier, but
October.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, October is usually when it starts to go downhill for me. If you didn't already know, I'm Stone. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, not by choice, by family. It's the only team my dad gave me, and I was left up to my own devices for everything else. But yeah, I'm a Dolphins fan, so a little bit different takes coming from me on your Texans. But you're a Texans fan. You're in Houston. C.J. Stroud is your Lord and Savior right now. We'll see how it ends this year. We've had some rumblings in the chats, but yeah, we're excited to get into it. On today's episode, we're going to preview the AFC South. We're going to talk all AFC South, all Texans, Colts, Jags, Titans. We're going to talk about all of it on today's episode of Play Action Takes. Play Action Takes is brought to you by Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary mix. We love Zing Zang. Been hammering them all summer. The ready-to-drink cans, the Michelob, the Margarita, the Bloody Mary mix is America's #1 Bloody Mary mix for a reason. Shout out to Big City Wings, Houston's Wing Joint, Paul's Wing Joint. You got Burger Day on Wednesday. They got the best wings in Houston. Just a lovely partner with Big City Wings, Apollo's Wing Joint, Houston's Wing Joint. Kush, let's get into the AFC South. What about it?
Man, AFC South. So last year, just gonna go run down the records for each team. Your Texans 10-7, the Colts were 8-9, Jags 4-13, Titans 3-14. Obviously, we know in this division there's been a lot of changes, new quarterbacks, new head coaches, so things might change a little bit. But I think one of the guys to watch out for this year at the quarterback position is, the Texans fans might not agree with me here, but I'm going to say Trevor Lawrence, new head coach coming in, Liam Cohen. Trevor Lawrence might finally have that breakout year, maybe a repeat of 2022 when they made the playoffs. And, I think with Liam Cohen hired as a head coach, I just was really a fan of that hire. I thought it was a great hire. He turned Baker Mayfield's, pretty much career around. Baker Mayfield's now one of the premier quarterbacks in the league. I think if Trevor Lawrence can stay healthy, I think they're going to put up a lot of gaudy numbers. Let's not forget they have one of the best young receivers in the NFL, Brian Thomas Jr.
I don't like the Jags in any way, shape, or form. I don't have any faith in them. I know Liam Cohen orchestrated the offense of Baker Mayfield last season with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I think he minimized danger and difficult throws for Baker. I think Baker's a great quarterback, but I think he minimized the offense to a point where Baker was just like not able to make mistakes out of it. And obviously when you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and other weapons around you, it's a little bit easier to make those choices. Bucky Irving had a great year as well. But coming in as a head coach is a completely different ballgame. You're taking care of offense, defense, special teams, personnel, coaches. You've got a lot on your plate as opposed to when you're an offensive coordinator and you're only dealing really with the offense, the wide receivers, the offensive line, the quarterback. Like you're orchestrating one part of the game. The game is threefold. It's not just twofold. It's threefold. And being able to put the right people in the right positions is a huge thing in my life and in my company and all that kind of stuff. Like I like to do that, but I think that's a major thing in football. Like as a Dolphins fan, I saw Brian Flores come in and go Belichickian on the team, and it worked for the defense, but it did not work for the offense. And we saw them never make the playoffs under Brian Flores. So it's up to Liam Cohen to do all those things, and we'll see how that kind of works out in his favor or against him. Trevor Lawrence was never really high on the guy, even in college as an SEC guy. Went to Mississippi State. I'm I'm going to be anti-Clemson. I was always anti-Clemson, even growing up. But it's a weird team. I think that team was very defensive-minded for the majority of their run, even though they had good offense. And I know they had Deshaun Watson and the Nasty Man and Trevor Lawrence. They won 2 national titles. But great defense won those championships. Like, defensive plays won those championships. People forget. But I just don't have any faith in the Jags. Like, I know they got Travis Hunter. They got all this hype around a two-way player. I just need to see it before I could change my mind on it. And last year, they started out week 1 against the Miami Dolphins, and they lost that game because their offense couldn't score anymore. And the Dolphins weren't good last year, even when Tua was healthy. It's like, that's a problem. Their best running back is their second-string running back, and they refuse to not start Travis Etienne. Like, I don't understand that either. It's like, use your better running back. Tank Bigsby's better. He was better last year, and they just didn't use him as much. So maybe that changes. I don't know. Maybe Travis Hunter adds another element. Maybe he gets open more because Brian Thomas Jr. is getting all these targets. I don't know. They were 4-13 last year, and that doesn't scream a big turnaround for me.
Yeah, so the way I look at it is they lost a lot of close games last year. And, obviously I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that all those losses last year are going to turn to wins this year, but I don't think they have to, get way, way better in order to, like by midseason, say, be in the thick of the hunt for the AFC South. I think if they tweak some things here, tweak some things there, obviously guys got to stay healthy. Trevor Lawrence has to cut down the interceptions.
Ball security is a problem.
Yeah, the running game has to be, pretty good to me, I think. So that Trevor Lawrence can, cut down those turnovers. But, I think the way they've drafted this year and the way they're kind of building their team is they want to give him a good running game so that Trevor Lawrence, like, he doesn't have to do a whole lot.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. I do think they'll be marginally better than 4-13. I just don't know how much better. Could they be 8 wins? Could they be 6 wins? It's in that range for me, 6 to 8 wins. But before we jump over to the Colts, which Junior's making a comment about in our comment section, hit the comment section, hit those super chats, do whatever you want in the chat. We'll be live Mondays at 2 every week throughout the duration of the football season, and then we'll have a recorded episode up on Friday morning previewing the next week and talking about all the games there. And we'll be recapping the games on Monday and throughout the football season. So make sure to tune in to our live show, tune into our recorded shows on Friday. Play Action takes us back in full swing. Me and Kush are taking it. Junior in the chat says Streets are saying the Colts are winning the division this year. Junior, known Cowboys
Absolutely
fan.
not. Absolutely not, Junior.
Known Cowboys fan. The Colts defense is good. The running game is good. Their offensive line is fine. Their quarterback position is abysmal. Yeah, no, it's just not good.
I mean, are we gonna go on a rant about Anthony Richardson right now? Because this is a guy that was picked high in the draft. He's had his injury issues, but to me, like, looking back on that pick for the Colts, it doesn't look like a very good pick right now. I think he was too young. He only played 1 year in college.
Yeah, he started 1 year at Florida.
Started 1 year in college, and I just thought he was too raw. But the thing about Anthony Richardson is he'll make those ridiculous, amazing throws down the field, and then you'll have games like they played the Packers in Lambeau last year early on, where it's like 3rd and short, and it's the most inaccurate throw you've ever seen. Like I would say Nathan Peterman would throw a better ball than Anthony Richardson at times on those 3rd downs. Like, it was that bad, and just his injury history just has not allowed him to develop into a better quarterback because he can't stay on the field. And then you had that situation last year against the Texans where he taps out and leaves the game. And just like for Colts fans, to me, I feel like the approval rating on Anthony Richardson right now is just at an all-time low, to where I feel like they feel more comfortable with Daniel Jones out there than Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson is a specimen and an all-world athlete. Not taking that away from him. I think the comp for him was Josh Allen coming in the draft. Size, running ability, arm, talent, like all the things point towards what Josh Allen is and what he was coming out of college. Josh Allen coming out of college, not super accurate, crazy arm, can run, super athletic. He can do all the things, turnover prone, bad mistakes prone, like that kind of stuff. Anthony Richardson has all of those things. The problem is that Josh Allen was able to work through those things with the Bills his first 2 seasons where he was fine, but he wasn't great. But he made flashy plays. He'd have 70-yard touchdowns where it was all airtime. Like he'd do all the same things that we've seen Anthony Richardson do. But he stayed on the field. He was allowed to make those mistakes and then wasn't benched. And Anthony Richardson has been benched a couple of times now, and not because of health reasons, like just because he's so bad that they can't have him in the games. And I think that's the major difference between Josh Allen and Anthony Richardson. Obviously, Josh Allen played a little bit more in college. He played at Wyoming. He didn't have to play in the SEC. He had more than 1 year under his belt when he got drafted. His stock wasn't as high as Anthony Richardson based on the draft position. Josh Allen was a little bit lower. So Anthony Richardson, he could be the answer eventually. I just don't see it. He just doesn't seem to be a guy that's just going to stay on the field because of health, 1, and 2, too many mistakes with the team that's primed to compete for a wild card spot, I would say, just because the rest of the roster, I think, is good. Jonathan Taylor is still one of the best running backs in the game. Like, you have a good defense. Your offensive line's fine. Like, you have a lot of really good qualities about your team, but your quarterback is so bad that you have to bench him for 40-year-old Joe Flacco or, like, I mean, Matt Ryan. Like, I don't see it. Daniel Jones is probably going to play more games than Anthony Richardson this year, and for that reason, I'm out. I'm out again. I think they're going to be in that same ballpark, 8-7 wins. Like, I don't think they're above 500 again.
Yeah, I think, obviously you got to think about injuries. If he gets injured again, then hell, they probably put Daniel Jones out there. Maybe if it goes from bad to worse, they might try to tank. I'm not too sure if Arch Manning's coming out next year. I don't think he is, but yeah, I think it's gonna go from bad to worse for the Colts.
It's gonna be tough,
regardless of how good the supporting cast is around him.
Fun fact about Danny Dimes: my dad played golf in the group behind him in New York this summer.
That's cool.
And Daniel Jones got hit with a ball. Someone hit him with one of their balls.
I feel like that's how the Colts season is gonna go, though.
Yeah, that's real tough. I asked Dad if after he got hit by the ball, there's more where that came from week 1 against the Dolphins, and he's like, "No, I should have. That was a good one." I was like, "You got to be quicker on your feet there, pal. Like, you gotta get that one going." But yeah, I'm not super high on the Colts quarterback position. I think the rest of their team is good enough to win a decent number of games. It's just if we have another Daniel Jones New York Giants first year Brian Daboll season, then yeah, I think they can make the playoffs. They can make a wild card spot, but I think the roster is good enough to do that. But it's just the quarterback position. We haven't seen Daniel Jones be that good since then. We haven't seen Anthony Richardson stay on the field for more than 3 games in a row. So yeah, it's tough. It's real tough for them. I'm also a nihilist. Like, I'm gonna just say that. Like, I'm eternal pessimist when it comes to football. I haven't seen my teams.
I feel like I'm way more positive than you.
Probably you're going to be. I'm much more harsh and much more critical of football because of my football upbringing as a Mississippi State and Miami Dolphins fan. Like, I've seen like a total of 2 seasons in my life where I was like, yeah, that was fun. That was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had the best of experiences, but I feel like
you've won playoff games.
Try to stay positive.
You've won playoff games where my team hasn't won a playoff game since my sister was born. I got to offer. That's terrible. But bottom of the division, before we get to the top of the division, Titans 3-14 last year. They draft Cam Ward, older quarterback, but number 1 overall pick. Balled out in Miami. He was awesome last year. So much dysfunction in the organization, though. Like, the owner's hiring people because he wants to hire people. He's not putting together a coaching staff that's kind of cohesive. It's just it's not a great situation. Treylon Burks hurt again. It's like everything that could go wrong for the Titans has pretty much gone wrong in the last handful of years since the Ryan Tannehill AFC Championship game or AFC semifinal game. I can't remember what game it was, but since then, and you let Derrick Henry go, there's not a lot of good. And then you let Mike Vrabel go, who everybody in the NFL is like, yeah, no, I wish the Patriots job wasn't open because we would have hired him. Like, He was always going to the Patriots. He was always going there after a year off, and I don't believe in the Titans. Maybe Cam Ward's sick and they get to 6 wins, 7 wins, and they're still kind of in that top 10 of the draft, and they can get a good few players there in the first couple of rounds and start building from there. But no state taxes there. That should be a good pull for NFL players, but I don't know how many people want to move to Nashville. So I'm out on the Titans as well. There's a lot of divisions I'm just out on, and this is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, with the Titans, everybody knows how much everybody here in Houston feels about that entire organization.
Great jerseys they have, the alternates. Love those.
Everyone that's in the organization, namely the owner. But the only reason I'm going to give the Titans a little bit of credit is because I just love what Cam Ward can bring. You're right. There is a lot of dysfunction in the organization. And I'm not saying that, they're going to shock the world and make the playoffs. But do I think Cam Ward can get them around 5, 6, maybe 7 wins? Yeah, I think he's going to have a good rookie year. They also drafted his running mate, Xavier Restrepo, from Miami. So he's kind of got a little connection there that he can use this season. But, yeah, the only reason that I'm giving the Titans any type of credit is because, I'm just a really big fan of Cam Ward, and I think he's not going to be the rookie of the year, offensively, but I think he's going to have a pretty good rookie season.
We'll see. Yeah, I think Cam Ward got lucky that Will Levis hurt his shoulder. Like, there's no camp battle at all. It's just like, all right, Cam, run it out. You're first team. Get your reps in. Get your mistakes out of the way. I think this is the learning year for the Titans. I think it's a learning year for Cam Ward, and I think a lot of quarterbacks can either make it or break it after that. It's just dependent on, like, Peyton Manning was awful his rookie year. People forget he has like the record for most interceptions in his rookie year. He ended up being one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Like, this happens to certain guys, like Josh Allen. Not a good rookie year. He had flashes and stuff, but not a good rookie year. He won the MVP last year. So, like, these things can happen. The problem is that he's on the Titans, and I just don't think their roster is very good right now, and that hurts a lot in the NFL. If you don't have a good roster, you cannot compete for the most part, and I don't think they have a good roster. But they're in an easier division. Like the Colts and Jags, they could split those. They could go 2-2 there, and then see what happens against the Texans, because for some reason it's always like voodoo magic against the Texans. Seems like
they
in recent
beat us
years
last year.
Yeah, like those weird games happen. Divisional games
It's not
happen.
impossible,
And
anything can happen.
Any team can win in any NFL game. It's just your chances are a lot lower when your roster is looking like what the Titans have. And maybe Cam Ward's what elevates it, and they get some older free agents in that can kind of help the team out a little bit, get some more draft picks in and all that kind of stuff over this year. But I think this is a learning year. It's the year of trial and error, figuring out what works for Cam and what doesn't, and hoping he stays healthy, because that's the main thing. If everybody can stay healthy, then you can learn a lot. But if you're getting hurt all the time, like Anthony Richardson, you're not going to learn anything.
Yeah, well, one thing's for sure. We hope Cam Ward doesn't have the Will Levis series of meme-worthy moments, that he had in his career. So
hoping the best for Cam Ward. Last team here, Texans, 10-7 last year. They won the division 2 straight years. They're going for their 3rd straight. Roster construction is great. D'Amico Ryans is great. CJ Stroud, a little bit of an off year last year. I know everyone has their gripes with your previous offensive coordinator. You had some injury, unlucky bounces go your way last year, and a lot of them actually. And offensive line was a problem. You traded Tunsil. It's looking kind of like the same team, but I think you got wide receiver depth now. You're trying to fix your offensive line, and if it can be closer to average than bad, then that's a huge win. Joe Mixon, mystery injury, could be a problem, but my guy Woody Marks, Mississippi State legend, who went to USC and got drafted, he's on your team. I think he's Joe Mixon light. He's a smaller version of Joe Mixon. I think he does a lot of the same things. I think you got a lot of depth at a lot of positions. I think your secondary is incredible. Defensive line's incredible. Defense wins championships. So give us the lowdown on the Texans, Kush.
Yeah, I think for the Texans, their defense is going to be nasty this year. We had the scare with the CJ Gardner-Johnson injury. Came out that, he might be able to make it back for week 1 when we originally thought it was a torn Achilles or torn ACL or whatever it was. But that was huge. I think I think the secondary for the Texans, you can make a case it's a top 2 to top 3 secondary in the entire NFL. CJ Stroud had the sophomore slump. A lot of people are calling it, but there was a lot of stuff that went wrong around him, namely the offensive line. They get rid of Laramie Tunsil. They're kind of rebuilding the mentality on that offensive line. I think the Texans they're going to be a team that's going to want to run the ball a lot and then play action off of it. That's where CJ Stroud's the most effective, and they really kind of rebuilt their receiver room too with Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins in the draft. So I think in camp I was really looking at the offense to see what the offense would look like, and I think for every Texans fan out there, the most uncertainty about this team is in the offense and what they're going to look like, especially after the Joe Mixon injury. And new offensive coordinator Nick Caley from the Rams, who's bringing in like a physical mindset. So I think the way they're kind of building their team this year, they're on the right path to winning those games that they couldn't win last year, where they couldn't run the ball and where they couldn't execute offensively, on the offensive line. So, but then again, I'm gonna say I think this is gonna be a defensive team for the most part. Like whenever the defense, plays well, that's what makes this team go. And man, I can't wait to watch Will Anderson Jr. I think he's gonna have a defensive player of the year type year this year. And you know, everybody loves offense, but for me, I'm a huge defensive guy. So the Texans, really, really excite me this year.
Yeah, Junior says the line is still boo boo. That's a problem. And that's also to be seen. They've
Yeah.
revamped it. They got new guys in there. Obviously, I'm in the same boat. We got a bunch of new guys in there on the offensive line, and you're pessimistic when it comes to offensive line just because of what's happened over the last 2 years. It's like you're watching CJ Stroud just immediately get rushed, and you're like, God bless if he could just have 3 seconds of time. Like we'd be unstoppable. And so it's TBD on the offensive line, Junior. Dominic says Braxton Berrios is nice. Yeah, that's my guy. Love Braxton. I think he's going to be a critical part for this team. I think he's going to make some big plays. I think he's going to surprise some people. I think he's going to have a handful of touchdowns this season on offense. And then obviously on special teams, he's going to be sure-handed and going to be able to make a play or two on special teams this year. And that's kind of what you ask out of the guy. It's just not to make mistakes. And if you get a play or two out of it, that's great. So I think Braxton's going to be a good 4th, 5th wide receiver there that he can kind of fill in on depth and fill in the slot and that kind of stuff. I think offense is going to be better this year. You got more wide receivers. Offensive line is different. I don't know if it's better, but it's different. And I think you got more depth at running back as well. And if CJ just has a half second more, a second more of time, then this team's going to look a lot more like it did in 23 when you're just balling out and beating teams that you shouldn't beat and all that kind of stuff. Now you're going to be expected to beat them. I think you're going to kind of come through with that and maybe finish a little bit better than 10-7 like you did last year. So, Kush, let's get into the standings projection for this season. We're both going with the Texans winning the division, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I think they're going to finish 11, 12 wins. I think the division's really bad this year, and I don't think they're going to have as many fluky losses like they did last year against the division. I think they're going to be around that 11, 12 win slot for the Texans this year.
And they've got a much easier schedule this year than they did last year, too.
That helps. Your second position, who's going to finish second in the AFC South?
Second, I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay. I was going to go Colts. I just like their roster overall better than I like the Jags roster. I know that their quarterback situation sucks and it's not going to be good, but I think they just win more because of their roster compared to the Jags.
Yeah, I think my argument for the Jags is like me personally. I just really believe that Liam Cohen's going to change, Trevor Lawrence's like projection of his career. I think he's going to have a really good year statistically this year, and that's going to help him a lot on offense.
Yeah, like I said, he minimized Baker Mayfield's like opportunity for mistakes. I think he'll do the same with Trevor Lawrence. It's just Trevor Lawrence has always done this, and Baker Mayfield's just a gunslinger. I think like those things happen. Brett Favre threw the most interceptions in league history. Like that, he's a gunslinger, but he's one of the best of all time. Like that, those things happen. They can be two of the same. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is like a gunslinger. Is the difference? I think he just can't hold on to the football. It's my problem. Your third position is
my third position is the Tennessee Titans.
Oh,
Tennessee Titans. like we discussed earlier, I think Cam Ward is going to have a good rookie season. I think, he's going to be. I think he's going to be one of those players that can kind of, rise through the ashes, kind of elevate his team with everything going wrong around him. I think he has that type of talent. The physical tools are just ridiculous. The throws he can make, and I, I just like Cam Ward, man.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to go Jags there in the 3 position. I think they'll be better than last year. I think the Colts are going to be roughly the same as they were last year. I mean, I don't think the Jags can catch them. I just don't like their roster, and I don't like the Titans roster at all. So I have them in the 4 position. Interesting. Got the Jags last, huh? Or the Colts last.
Colts last, yeah. I just think the Anthony Richardson situation is going to leak into this year again. I don't really trust, him health wise. I do like Jonathan Taylor, but I just think the vibe surrounding that team right now is it's going to weigh on the head coach. They might be in a situation where they might, move on from Shane Steichen mid-season if things get bad enough. I just think that ship's like there's a hole in the bottom of the ship, and that ship is already sinking.
I don't hate it. I don't like the Colts. I don't like any of this division except for the Texans. Texans is the only team I look at. And I'm like, yeah, that's a football team. It's a real football team right there. So that's the standings projection. I had Texans, Colts, Jags, Titans, same as last year. You had Texans, Jags, Titans, and then Colts.
Right.
So should be an interesting one to see what the other 3 teams do and if the Texans kind of live up to expectations heading into the season. Last thing before we go, we're going to pick MVPs of the division on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensive. So, Kush, give us your 2025-2026 division offensive MVP.
Division offensive MVP for the AFC South. We've got Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to have a turnaround breakout year. Statistically.
Yeah, statistically. Okay. I'm in between a couple of Texans. And they don't do everything without each other. That's the problem. Like one's going to benefit from the other is going to benefit from the other. Like they do the same thing. I hate just doing MVP for quarterback, so I'm going to do Nico Collins. I think he's going to have like 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns, and he's just going to ball out. I think there's more depth at the position. There's going to be more open wide receivers. I don't think Nico's going to cultivate the entire defense scheming around him. I think they're going to have to scheme around a lot of guys. So for that, I'm going to go Nico. I think he's going to have a huge year, earn that contract a little bit more, still a discount if he does that. I like Nico as my offensive MVP for the AFC South.
Hey, man, Nico's top the receiver.
He's really good. I like him a lot. I wish the Dolphins had a guy like that, but we just have smaller, faster guys. That's it. So we'll see. Defensive division MVP for the AFC South, Kush, is?
Defensive MVP for the AFC South 2025-2026. It's got to be my guy, Will Anderson Jr., man. I think he's poised for a huge year on defense. I think he's going to be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year this year.
I don't doubt it. If he's healthy, he's in. Andrew said, I watched Cam at WSU, Washington State. He's got a small case of the Will Levis's, tries to do too much sometimes and makes poor decisions. Yeah, I think that could be a problem. He does try to do that. I mean, I watched one of the Miami games later in the season. I think it was either Thanksgiving. I think it was Thanksgiving weekend. I was watching and they were competing for a playoff spot and they're going back and forth and he's just trying to do a little bit too much. So they had to settle for a field goal or he threw an interception, that kind of stuff. I think that's probable that it's going to happen, especially in a rookie season on a team that's not roster constructed, built towards Cam Ward yet. So we'll see on that. My division defensive MVP, also a Texan. Not Will Anderson, though. Derek Stingley. I've been so high on that kid forever. I was always team Stingley over Sauce from the beginning, before the draft, during the draft, after the draft. Still, since the draft, I am team Derek Stingley over Sauce Gardner. I do just not like Sauce because he plays for the Jets, but I was on that before he was drafted by the Jets. So I just want to make that clear. I think Derek Stingley found a groove last season, later in the season, where he got a few picks there. I think he can put up a few more numbers. I think the secondary's good. I think the corners are really good. I think the safety position, as long as CJ Gardner-Johnson comes back, then you got depth there. I think Petrie's really good. you got a lot of ball hawks out there as well. But I think Stingley started to find something last year. He started to stay healthy as well, which helped out a lot. I think he can get a few more picks and maybe kind of take claim to one of the best cornerbacks in the game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can't go wrong with either the Texans defenders, Will Anderson Jr., Derek Stingley Jr. They're all dogs, man. They're all dogs.
Andrew said, "What? No consideration for Big Jeff or TV sweat for defensive MVP." I love Jeffrey Simmons. I begged for my Dolphins to take him. I watched him in college. I was on the field and I stood next to him one time at one of the Mississippi State games early on, and he's just a behemoth of a person. He doesn't make sense as a human. The things that he can do at that size and everything. I love Jeffrey Simmons. I think he's incredible. I just think the team stinks so bad that he's going to be on the field all the time. So getting those numbers and everything, it kind of has to matter at the end of the day. Like for an MVP discussion, I need the team to be a little bit better. If they win 6 games this year, I still don't think that's enough for me to put him in there. But he's a close consideration. I think Will Anderson, Derek Stingley, Jeffrey Simmons are all great picks there. I love Jeffrey Simmons. I needed him on my team and I didn't get him. We drafted Christian Wilkins instead.
Yeah, I think Simmons is that's a great pick, but I feel like with the Texans, defensive front, because they have Dino Hunter on the other side, I think that'll make things like much easier for Will Anderson Jr. just to put out crazy numbers. That's why I went with the Will Anderson Jr. man.
Yeah, and I think Simmons is probably the best interior defensive lineman in the game. Everyone talks about him that way. I saw it in person when he was in college, like on the field watching it. I was just like, this doesn't make sense. And he missed the first 4 games of the season, I think, for suspension. Him and Montez Sweat on the same defensive line in college was just the best. Him and Jonathan Abram out there as a safety, just a fireball cracker in the secondary, just trying to kill people. It was a delightful 8-4 season for my Mississippi State Bulldogs. Best defense in the nation that year. And we won 8 games. So that was fun.
He's definitely giving me my share of nightmares as a Tennessee Titan.
So. Oh, it's horrifying going against him. I mean, he's so good. And you got a game plan against him. Like, that's the issue, is that everyone's going to game plan against Jeffrey Simmons. So I think his stats are a little bit less than what he could do on a average defensive line, or if not a really good defensive line. So
yeah, he may not have that consistent production game by game that Will Anderson Jr. might have.
And he's an interior defensive lineman. He's not rushing the passer necessarily by design, so that doesn't help him in the statistical category. But he's one of the best in the game, no doubt about it.
He's a certified beast out there, man.
He's the best. Love that guy. That's our AFC South preview. So Play Action Takes live on Mondays at 2 p.m. We're going to recap the weekly games on Monday. We're going to preview the Monday night game, talk about everything that happened on Sunday and Thursday. Can't wait to get into it on a regular schedule. Mondays at 2 for our live stream. Fridays, our recorded episode will be up at midnight, so you can listen to it on your way into work or while you're working at your desk at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., whatever like that. Most rushing yards in the AFC South. Andrew asks, who do you think is going to have the most rushing yards? I think it's going to be Jonathan Taylor.
I think it's going to be Jonathan Taylor too.
Because I don't know.
Because of their quarterback situation, they're going to have to run the ball.
And we don't know about Joe Mixon's health right now.
If Joe Mixon was healthy, then I go
in
Joe
consideration.
Mixon.
Yeah. So I think it's Jonathan Taylor, Andrew. But we'll be back on Friday with our NFC South preview. We're going to talk about the NFC South. Do the same thing here: standings, projections, MVPs on both sides of the ball for the NFC South. We're going to go through every division before football starts and kicks off on September 4th. First game, Eagles on banner night. We're going to have all the divisions done before then. We'll do a season preview episode in there as well. And can't wait for football to be back. Thank you to our sponsors, Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary Mix, Ready Drink Cans, Michelade Mix, Margarita Mix. They've got all the best stuff in the game. Go get it wherever you can get it. I get it at Tom Thumb. It's right across the street from me, but they got it at Total Wine and Spirits. They got Specs. They got it everywhere. Zing Zang's everywhere. Shout out to Big City Wings, Houston's Wing Joint, and Paul's Wing Joint. We love Big City Wings. We go there all the time. We're going to do some watch parties there this year. Best wings in the game in Houston. They got 14 locations across the greater Houston area, so go check out Big City Wings. Kush, any last words here?
All I got is go Texans, man. Let's win that division for the 3rd straight year in a row.
It's looking likely. Sports Girly rank NFC East teams. We're going to do that when we do the East next week. I think later next week we'll do NFC East on our recorded episode next Friday. So a week and a half, a little bit more than a week and a half. We will do an NFC East episode. Screw football, LOL. Yeah, I'll be joining you in on that in October. Higher heights, screw football. Yeah, I'll be right there with you in October. But I'll keep watching. I'll keep doing it. I'll keep doing it. That's our AFC South preview. Thank you for joining us on Play Action Takes. We'll be live Mondays at 2 p.m. throughout the rest of the season. Fridays will be our other episode. We'll be back talk about it on Friday. We can do the NFC South. Can't wait to do it, Kush.
Yep, Friday, NFC South.
And that's it for Play Action Takes. We'll be back very, very soon with another episode.